Okay people, so welcome back to another day and another video. Excuse it, my voice sounds a little bit dodgy today. I've got a hell of a sore throat. It's not coronavirus, if anybody asks. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it's just a bit of a sore throat. Hopefully today's video will be a bit longer than the previous video, which was the, what was it, the Yamaha Kodiak. I anticipated that to be a lot longer, sorry. I know it was only 6 minutes, but today I'm going to be reassembling the KLF, at least some of the way. We've got the diff out the parts bike in, as I showed you in the last little update. All the A-arm mounts and diff mounts have been re-welded, better than standard. So say we've got the new replacement diff in there, or used replacement diff. Got new bolts throughout. These are just standard bolt fixings, because they're a pretty standard size. I've got to get the two CV axles in, which are held in by these Allen head bolts. I've got to put the remainder of the A-arms back on. I've got one ball joint to put in an A-arm. Obviously all the track rods, etc. put back on, hubs. We're still waiting on the brake calipers. I've got new brake calipers for it. They haven't arrived yet, so I'm not going to be able to drive this fully today or get it fully back working. But we should certainly be able to do a certain amount. I'm not sure if we're going to split it into two videos or leave it as one. I did mention in the last episode, and possibly in the Kodiak video as well, that I had a new old stock prop shaft coming, and it's arrived. As you can see, it is the shaft itself is clearly new old stock. It's still pretty shiny, and the UJ looks new. But the other end of it that goes the diff UJ is not. It's actually completely knackered. What I've been sent. Look in there. Look at the splines in there. Absolute disgrace. They're unusable. They slip by hands. That's not going to work. Luckily, I've got one, a good one, on that parts bike diff, but I paid almost £300 for this prop shaft, and I would expect it to be half decent. Now, you know, I'm not normally somebody who calls anybody out on things, but, you know, that's just a barefaced lie, obviously. I mean, when you sell an old machinery, you know, things break. You know, I've sold things and broke on people, but, and, you know, it happens, but if you know about something like that, just tell the buyer, for God's sake. It's just common decency. An absolute scumbag move to send me that piece of junk. So I'm going to hopefully get back some money back off him, but we'll see. At least I can put it back together because I've got a decent one on the bike. So yeah, I'll get them diff mounts bolted back in properly, get the shafts on, and I'll be back. Okay, so the diff is now bolted back in as it should be. All bolts are all tight. I always use nylock bolts whenever I'm using non-factory fixings, because you don't know how good the factory fixings were and how good the ones you're using are. So if you use nylock nuts, you know you're pretty safe. This axle went in very easy. The one on the other side was a bit more of a pain. I think the splines are slightly, slightly caught on the axle itself and been in the workshop for a bit. It's gone in fine, but I had to take the axle apart and give it a good tap. I managed to also slice my finger on the sharp edge of this. Not particularly bad, but one of them cuts that goes absolutely everywhere. So I've got a little standard shop bandage on there, but whatever. I've got to get a new boot really, because this boot's not very good now. I've had to take it apart again, but it'll be fine. So all I've got to do now is put the Allen key fixing back in the axles on both sides. Then I can start reassembling the suspension. As I say, unfortunately, I haven't got the A-arm for that upper section ready just yet, because I'll just pop out to where it is in my car and show you it. Okay, so here's the A-arm. As you can see, I've got a new ball joint in it. They're actually threaded ball joints on these KLF 300s, which you might think is, oh great, that means I can just unthread the old one and thread the new one in. The blood's coming through. But no, you cannot. Because they're an absolute pain to get out. It took me an hour to get the ball joint out of here. It was that stuck in there. As you can see, I've threaded the new one in most of the way, but I haven't actually got a socket that fits this. So I've been trying to do it with a pair of vice grips, but it's not working too well. So I'm going to have to pop down to my mate, who I'm sure has got a long impact. I've got a socket that'll fit it, but not a long one that'll slip right over the ball joint. So I'm going to pop down to him and borrow a socket so I can impact that all the way in. But I'm going to have to go tonight because he's not there at the moment. So that's going to stop me assembling the one side, but I can assemble the other side. So I'll be working on that now, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so it's time for an update. I've got all them Allen head retainer bolts back in both shafts. I've got this side suspension back together, up and lower arms, got the hub back on, hub cap as well. I've put a new CV boot on that, the one that was damaged. I forgot that we needed a lower shock bushing, so I'm going to have to get one ordered. It's just got a bolt through just to hold up at the moment. Got the track rod end bar back on there. I've freed off the oil fill plug to refill it with 80W90 once we've finished. I'd always recommend putting a good amount of heat on them aluminium on aluminium plugs, because they seem to seize really easy and the heads actually round off very easily, particularly on Yamaha drain bolts where they use the strainer on old Big Bears. I can't count how many of them I've had to cut and hack off. So yeah, always put some good amount of heat on. But I'm sort of stuck now on the front end because I need the ball joint properly installed in on the other upper arm to get the other side back together. So I'm going to pop to my mate tonight, get that done, and I'll be back up here tomorrow to install that. I think I'm going to leave this video till I've got the front end back together, and then I'm going to do another final video on it, because people do seem to be enjoying this, and I'm going to have quite a bit of footage left. I did order a new petrol cap for it. If you remember, the cap was missing and I just had to use towels. But where's the petrol cap I bought? It was supposed to be for a Kawasaki bike, but it doesn't fit. It's a CNC aluminium one, because believe it or not, the original one was £80 they wanted for an original fuel cap, which is ridiculous. I got this for a tenner, but unfortunately it doesn't fit. I'm going to keep it though, because it does fit Yamaha ones, and I had the odd Yamaha with ones missing in the past. I do not know how fuel caps go missing off bikes. It just seems strange to me, but whatever. Oh yeah, I've also taken the calipers off the hubs, because obviously we've got brand new ones, but the calipers I've removed aren't anywhere near as bad as I thought they were. When I first looked at them, I thought they were down to the metal on the pad and down to the piston, but they're actually not. There's a little bit of pad left in there, look. Quite a bit, in fact. I probably wouldn't have replaced them if I'd have taken them off beforehand and looked at them. But I've got a new set. If anybody wants these are genuine Kawasaki. They can have them for £40 for the pair. They both appear to be in reasonable condition. So yeah, I'm going to get that ball joint properly sorted tonight, and I'll be back in the morning once I've put the rest of the front end together. So yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, well, welcome back to the following day, or welcome to the following day, should I say. Today's not gone quite as I planned it. Not in a bad way, but because we went and picked up this old Arctic Cat, which there'll be a video on shortly. It's quite a nice little bike. But I'm not going to really put the suspension back together today. I might do a little bit, but I'm not going to show it on film. What I am going to show is the racks have been sandblasted. Now, there's a variety of things I do with the racks to get the finish nice. I either sandblast them and then have them powder coated. I just sand them myself and paint them on really old bikes. Or the intermediate option is to have them sandblasted and paint them myself. I've chosen that option on these because these are really quite bad to sand myself, and it does need to look tidy, but I'm not going to get £1 million for it because it is an old rough-ish bike. But they've all been sandblasted. They come out really quite nice. This is actually a bare metal finish. I know it's not shiny, but that's because the sandblast doesn't make things shiny. It makes them textured, which gives a good key for the primer. I've also got this Fordson Dexter Tractor Tin Work sandblasted that I'm doing a little mini restoration on for the chap who owns this farm, as a thank you for giving me the workshop for virtually no cost. So I'm doing that for free for him. And the reason I'm painting these and not having powder coated is, for one, he's not doing the rest of the tractor, so it's not a concourse restoration, and for two, the powder coat is about 6 times the cost of paint on this, and for the difference it makes, it's just not worth that in my opinion. So this is how I paint them. This is just one of the old barns. It's empty, and I just nail old nails into the rafters and hang them off bungee cords. So very simple. I'm using Plasticoat primer, which is really quite good stuff. It does a good job. And then I've got a specialist top coat for this from a vintage tractor website, and then just satin black standard for that, because I didn't want to paint them the original grey, because there's that many greys. I didn't want it to look really weird. So yeah, I'll get on and prime them, and I'll show you them when they're done. Okay, so they're all primed now. You must wear a respirator when you're doing this. Paint fumes are nasty, and VOCs that are in spray cans are equally as bad. So as you can see, the primer has come out really nice. There's a little bit of texture to it, but that'll be hidden in the top coat. That's the tractor top bonnet. the other tractor bonnet. That's the radiator cowl off the tractor. And these are the KLF bull bars, which have come out really nice. That'll be even, and there's the rear rack. That'll be even nicer. The top coat. I'm going to do the top coat on the racks now. Let it dry enough to move them. And then I'm going to do the blue for the tractor because I don't want any black going on the blue, obviously. I can easily prime over a bit of black if it does end up on the tractor components. So yeah, I'll put the top coat on the racks and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so this is going to be the last clip now. These racks have come out really quite nice. You're not going to tell too well until they're all drying inside, but it's absolutely pitch black now, as you can see without the light. So I'm not going to be doing any more today. So this is going to be the end of this video. There'll be one more on the KLF when we finish the front end, recover the seat, put everything back together, and just do a little review of it. So yeah, and there'll be plenty more videos to come. So I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.